Carry via Zoom. Councillor O'Shaughnessy, Councillor Headland, Councillor Collins, myself, Mayor Craig Bertie, City Manager Bobby Price, and our City Recorder Kimmy Jackson. All right, so we're going to get started with, as we always do, with announcements, proclamations, and correspondence. We do have a proclamation that I would like to read. We had some correspondence that I will note that are in the city package and are available on the city website. One of them is on a letter of support for vacation rentals being made to pass vacation rentals to family members. The other one is a thank you note from the Cape Perpetua Collaborative, and also noting that the Cape Perpetua Collaborative will be providing docents on our Yachats trolley every Saturday, is it, I believe?
Nice. Yeah.
Which will be really exciting and a great opportunity for people to get to know and understand the ecology of our area as they're being transported around. So that's a great thing. The proclamation I will read is a proclamation against citing an ICE detention facility by the mayor and the city council of Yachats, Oregon. So a little bit lengthy, so please bear with me. Whereas the city of Yachats is an integral part of the close-knit community of the Central Oregon coast, bound by shared values and a common economy dependent on tourism, hospitality, and natural beauty. And whereas the well-being, safety, and values of the entire coastal region are priorities for the Yachats City Council. And whereas reports of federal contractors seeking sites for a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facility in nearby Newport have raised significant community-wide alarm and concern across the coast. And whereas the Yachats community recognizes that any facility which creates fear and impacts the safety and security of our neighbors in Newport will negatively affect the safety and well-being of residents throughout Lincoln County and the Oregon coast. And whereas a potential ICE facility jeopardizes the economic stability of the entire region as a major economic driver for coastal towns is tourism, which relies heavily on a reputation as welcoming and a safe destination for all people. And whereas the state of Oregon has been a sanctuary state for decades with laws that generally prohibit the use of state and local resources for federal immigration enforcement, reflecting the value of its residents, now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Craig Bertie, Mayor of the City of Yachats, on behalf of the City Council and residents, do hereby formally declare the City of Yachats' unwavering support for the City of Newport's official stance in opposition to the siting of any ICE detention or processing facilities within the city limits of Newport or anywhere on the Oregon coast. The City of Yachats stands in solidarity with our neighboring communities and calls upon all federal and state leaders to ensure transparency, uphold Oregon's sanctuary laws, and protect the values that make the Oregon coast a unique and welcoming place. Introduced and adopted the 17th day of December 2025, City of Yachats, Oregon. Can I have a motion in support of that proclamation?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion then carries. That proclamation is part of our record. Okay. All right. Public comment. This is a period where items that are not on the agenda are commented on by anybody in the public that would like. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. That you stick to the issue at hand and that you avoid personal attacks as much as possible, that you also come to the front and sit at the table and cite your city of residence. Are there any public comments in the room?
Nothing online?
Nothing online? Okay. And we will then move on to our next order of business, which I have the feeling there's a lot of interest in. This is the second public hearing of the City of Yachats Vacation Rental License Code update. City Manager Price, will you summarize that for us and update the audience on our attorney's assessment?
Yes, so we had our first hearing for this update in October and did receive significant feedback, questions, concerns. It was discussed and decided that we wanted to maintain the intent of the original code that was put in place and continue to have the restrictions on how the code is held and how it is passed on and are not able to be transferred, and just making sure that we are having this be very clear. And that was the point of rewriting this, was to really add clarity to this. In the presentation material that I provided, I highlighted some of the main changes that were made. These are the same that were mentioned in October, where we clarified the license holder and added the definition for a dwelling unit owner representative, and that must be a person or two people who own the property and are on the deed. And the release stating that it can't be a trust or business that holds the license. If you are in a trust, you can have, and on the property, you can have a license. So there is that clarification. You can be a member of a trust that is listed on a deed and own a license, as long as it's in your name, not the trust's name. That they're non-transferable. There's clarification added about that a license is not transferable upon sale or death of the license holder. There was clarity added to the expectations of a license holder for following up in a timely manner regarding their reinspection. We extended the timeline for addressing identified issues to obtain a license if there are fixes that were identified upon your inspection. So that used to be 5 days. We're extending that to 20 days. We have added a compliance with our transient lodging tax reporting, where a license holder commercial rates for vacation rental licenses was formally added to the code. And we've added a waitlist response timeline, making it specific to if you have been contacted to let you know that your spot has come up to the top from the wait list and you're now able to get your license. If you don't make contact within 10 days, we're going to defer to the next person in line and you'll lose your spot in the wait list there. During the first public comment, there was concern about, first public hearing, there was concern about Citizens United and wanting to make sure that we are treating this fairly and not having corporations being treated differently within and going against the Constitution set there. We did reach out to our attorney, and I did include his exactly how he wrote his response on this material, because it's very detailed and very thorough. But his short answer is that he disagrees that the Citizen United case applies in this instance. It's more related to election communication than businesses being listed as having ownership in a license like this. A couple other things that were requested for me to look into was the Newport vacation rental license, and theirs is just very different than ours. I did read through it, and they have a very good vacation rental license. It's just a different intent and concept, and it would be us going in a totally different direction if we chose to follow something similar to theirs. They have no restrictions on the number of vacation rentals like we do. We're treating our vacation rental licenses really as an asset versus a commodity. And another thing for me to look into was the Lincoln County has software where they are able to track activity of people listing their homes as vacation rental license on sites like Airbnb and Vacasa, and making sure that those do indeed hold licenses with the city and being able to monitor and track those. I did look into that. We can't do a share because it's a very complex software, but we've had two meetings now with our staff and the company called Muni Gov, and the amount of service that software can offer to the city is really incredible and could streamline many more elements of our city work. So we are following through with looking into those. So those were a few of the follow-ups that I had from that first public hearing to report back on.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Collins, did you want to add something?
I think I wanted to maybe simplify or make another analogy about our attorney's response to the Citizens United issue. Because as I understood the complaint or the argument that came up last meeting is that Citizens United, you can't distinguish or can't discriminate against a corporation. And I think that's extraordinarily overbroad. And my example is this. In the state of Oregon, cannot drive a vehicle on a public road without a license. License is issued to an individual. If Citizens United meant what some people think it means, then corporation could, get a driver's license and say, okay, we've got the license and any of our employees can drive these trucks down the highway. And that's, the state has a legitimate interest in knowing that the person behind the wheel is competent and is prepared to do it. And I think we have a similar interest in our vacation rentals that we need to have somebody that we can get a hold of who's a human being who will answer the phone or respond to a text. And that's all that's required. That there be a rational basis for the distinction we make.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to add to this also is the concern that was brought up last time with the not being able to transfer a license on, but we have a really short wait list right now and it's moving quickly. It is not the same stagnant list that it had once been, where there's, I think, some fear around if I have a license that is going to potentially be lost when my spouse passes. It could be fairly quickly if you got onto the wait list again, that you might see yourself with another license fresh.
And we do allow spouses, you can have two people, two of the deed holders can be on the license holders. And these are business licenses. These are not grants of in perpetuity for some privilege. This is a business license, just as we have business licenses for other services that are offered to the city. Okay, so I have learned that I do not need to read the entire document when we have published it, and it is published on our website. I think the city manager has done a very good job of summarizing what the changes are. The major change being that we have defined a dwelling unit owner representative as being one or two individuals, people, real people. And that's probably one of the major changes. We are not relitigating this entire issue. This ordinance was passed in 2017, and many of the arguments we heard last time were the same arguments that were made in 2017 when the city council at that time passed this ordinance, making it that the business license was held by a person at the time, but not well defined by an entity, I guess, at the time. So we are simply saying it has to be a person we have never, as far as I know, allowed entities to be the license holder. It's always had to be an individual So, of course, yes, Catherine, please.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with what you're just talking about, but I have a question. In the packet, we have a narrative and then we have a narrative with markups. Is the top narrative the new rewording?
There's actually three documents related to this. There's one document that is the city manager's summary of the discussion, including the attorney's opinion. And
Right,
then the other two are the same document, one with the markup of the changes that were made, and the other, the changes integrated into a single final document.
okay, then I have a couple of questions if I may.
Okay,
Okay, in the document that is not marked up, the one that's clear, under vacation rentals, it says means a single family dwelling, duplex, triplex, or ADU. I thought we eliminated ADUs. And then my other question is, what about bed and breakfast?
We did eliminate ADUs. Thank you for that catch.
yeah, thank you for that. We did decide to eliminate ADUs and that should be struck. So thank
And
you.
what about bed and breakfast?
Bed and breakfasts are, my understanding is they're handled by a different ordinance.
Okay, then I have a couple other questions.
Okay, please.
Under 4.08030 standards, it says the vacation rental license shall be issued to the dwelling unit owner, blah, 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 following these standards, as long as these standards are met. I don't feel like this is clear enough because my understanding is that there are more requirements than we can see listed here. I mean, there's requirements for fire extinguishers. There's the requirements for CO2 detectors. We talked about possibly having a requirement for fireplace cleaning. There are ordinances in the city for fire pit licenses. I think more of those specifics need to be listed here.
Those are on the inspection form as to get the license.
Could we put an asterisk to that inspection form or something? Because this just sounds like it's only about parking and how many bedrooms and so forth. But those aren't the only requirements.
So legitimate point. It could be something that we could add, complies with all vacation rental standards, checklist standards or something.
And then maybe put an
Those would have
asterisk
to
what
be
those are.
public. We'd have to make sure that those standards are public.
It could be an amendment, or like an attachment.
Yeah.
Document that could be easier to change.
Okay.
We don't have to change the whole code each
Yeah.
time.
I mean, even things like garbage cans aren't to be seen in the front, is my understanding.
Yeah, that's a general city requirement.
Okay, but just the specifics of it, so everybody is really clear in it, and they don't come back and say, well, you just talked about parking in bedrooms.
Mhm.
Then my other thing is, where is it? Oh, in that same standards part, this is just a typo. Under I, second line, garbage receptacles shall be provided, period. Oh, there's something missing there. It goes from one sentence to another.
They'll be provided except on, yeah.
I think there's a period.
They should
missing
be
there.
provided,
That's all I-
except on collection days, the garbage receptacles can be out.
Mhm.
Just the missing period.
Yeah, missing a period. Sorry, I'm being nitpicky here.
No, that's fine.
Under 408-040, again, under A, The city will inspect the subject property to determine occupancy capacity, parking, and access compliance. But you're also monitoring all those other things. Do you have the grease dispenser? Do you have the smoke detectors? Do you have all those other things? So it's not just that. And then under B, I was a little confused because she'll obtain an inspection prior to the 6th consecutive year. And then a few lines down, it says, and for each 5-year inspect, I suppose that makes sense. Okay, I was getting confused between 5 and 6. That's all.
Thank you
Oh,
for,
I'm sorry, under D, the next section. Under complaints. D, non-compliance with vacation rental license standards as stated in section 40803, and I just put not enough, so if we refined above, it would work. And that's my end of my thoughts.
okay, thank you. I think the city manager's suggestion of adding reference to an amendment,
Next,
appendix, thank you, that complies with terms of compliance or something, standards, rental standards. I think that would be acceptable to me.
Did we ever decide if fireplace flue cleaning would be required? I think that's important.
it is on there.
Okay.
And that checklist is available online, I'm hoping, assuming. Thank you, Councilor Carey, for finding those items. Appreciate it. Anything else from council? We can defer our council comments also, but if you've got something.
I wanted to clarify something that the city manager alluded to. I think there has been a misunderstanding and the summary page that's in the agenda, and I actually this morning Lincoln Chronicle had an article about this meeting, and it looked to me like they were referring to something in here which would be a misunderstanding, because the way it was worded is that I mean, the way the summary was read and reported on Lincoln Chronicle was that a person holding the dwelling unit owner representative, which is a new term, that, must be an owner, or it could be two people who own the property and are on the deed, not a trust or business. And that was a bit misunderstood, I would say, because it's clear when you look at the document itself that a corporation or a trust can be on the deed, that they can hold the deed, and the only requirement you make, the specific requirement you make, which was the understanding of this here, was that the dwelling unit owner representative has to be a beneficiary of a trust, or associated with a corporate holder and in an ownership type of capacity. But to say that it's an oversimplification to say that their name has to be on the deed, because if the dwelling unit owner representative had to be on the deed, then that would exclude land trusts, and that clearly was not our intent to exclude land trusts. But it is our intent to make a human being, a human being with a discernible interest in the property, the dwelling unit owner representative, so. Just a clarification, because the way it came out in the story might have been misunderstood.
Thank you for that, Barry.
Okay, anything else from the council at this point? We can double back. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for public comments. Could I get a show of hands for how many people would like to comment on this change to our ordinance? 1, 2. Okay, so I'm gonna ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes, since there's only 2. If there were more, we'd have to narrow it down, but I'm gonna ask that you keep your comments at 5 minutes or less. Less is fine too. Please come on up, and you, same rules apply. You need to give us your city of residence, and then go ahead and address us.
Good afternoon. My name is Brad Webb. I've been a resident here since 1997. It's been our family residence. My children all graduated from the local high school. I've been a member of the budget committee on a number of occasions. And I want to call attention to, first of all, one thing that's really important to me, and that is the comment that was made about this has been litigated before. We live in the United States. We've litigated stuff for the entire history of this country. And it gives us the opportunity to make changes when something is wrong. If that were not the case, people of color would not be able to vote. Women would not be able to vote for own property. In the 1960s, my dad had to sign a lease for a black family to live in the city of Beaverton because that same black man was not able to sign that paperwork. So I take grave offense to hearing comments that it cannot be litigated again. If anything that's there that's wrong, or even if you think it's right, should be litigatable if that's term. Otherwise, you make yourself a monarch. I think you need to hear that from me. I don't think very many people in this crowd are like me that have raised a family right here in this community and that work right here in this community and are directly affected by this ordinance. The ownership is important. Been here 30 years and I have seen many people die. Myself, I have 3 children. All 3 have served our country. They would not have the capacity to run our household if we wanted to turn it into a vacation rental. Vacation rentals that support this entire community, this entire government. We take in less than $50,000 a year from our residents out of property tax. That does not pay for one single employee in the city of Yachts. The one specific thing about this ordinance is passing. I've had clients up to 103 years old that have been wonderful to me and to this community for serving those of us that work and live here and are under or unrepresented right here. Just like to see a show of hands. How many of you actually work on these rentals? Right. And we work hard, but nobody represents our owners. Our owners who buy things locally, who buy from Roby's because it's our only furniture. Because I recommend them to go to Roby's. I get calls in the middle of the night. I get a water main that breaks. I've been unemployed since 2011. I came here to help open up the Old Leaf Lodge. I brought my family with my young children, 3 young children. We nearly lost everything that we had. In 2011, I was laid off from the job that brought me here. And since that time, these vacation rentals have supported my family. My 2 oldest children were in college at the time. My youngest was still 2 years out from graduating as valedictorian at a local high school. The people that you're talking about and are offended by it collect the money and give it to you to spend on my clients. And they're what put my family keep food on the table for my family. Passing it on is important. You need to start looking at the vacation rental money as business. As a business enterprise, you need continuity, you need consistency. Having a rental year after year that produces and does well for us is helping our entire community. One of the greatest restaurateurs in the state of Oregon is one of my favorites to read, because we were poor growing up. We couldn't go very far. So our birthdays or our celebrations were spent in a restaurant called Pharaoh's. Many of you probably haven't even heard of it. Bob Farrell wrote a book called Give 'Em the Pickle. It's all about customer service. The three most important words you want to hear from a customer is what? I'll be back. Having a rental year after year is critical for that continuity for the city. We want to look at it from a straight business perspective. Am I in favor of having an entire community full of rentals? No, I live here. I built a house here. I didn't even want to go even to fall. I wanted to live right here. I love it. But you continue to constrict my ability to live. And I think that's wrong. And it's not just me, it's numerous others.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks.
All right. Next speaker, please.
My name is Cameron Cohen. I live in Waldport.
I didn't catch your name.
Cameron Cohen?
Cameron Call. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, COHEN. Mayor, city council members, city manager, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Cameron Cohen. I work for Sweet Homes Vacation Getaways, a locally based vacation rental company that has been headquartered in Yachats since 2008. We are deeply invested in this community, economically and personally. We've watched these regulations evolve over many years, and for the most part, we believe the city has worked to create a balanced and fair system. However, on the issue of license transferability and who may hold the license, we believe the city is getting it wrong. By making licenses non-transferable, especially upon sale or death, the city is making it much harder for long-standing families to keep homes in their families. For many working class families, renting a home part-time isn't about maximizing profit, it's about covering property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and mortgages. Excuse me. Without that income, keeping a family beach simply isn't possible. So I want to ask a very simple question in the spirit of transparency. Why? Why should families who have owned homes here for decades, sometimes generations, lose the ability to keep these homes simply because the license disappears? The real world outcome of this policy is that only very wealthy families will be able to afford second homes and yachts without renting them. Over time, that reshapes the longstanding fabric of the community. Working families are pushed out and a new, more exclusive class of ownership takes their place. At the last public meeting, concern was raised about preventing a corporate takeover of yachts. Respectfully, that concern does not reflect reality. There is no corporation buying up large portions of this town or the county for that matter. There never has been. What does exist are families using LLCs and trusts for estate planning, liability protection, and responsible tax planning. These are not faceless corporations. They are local families making prudent decisions. And importantly, the city has already prevented consolidation by limiting licenses to one per person. That safeguard works. So again, we ask, what problem is this rule actually solving? By prohibiting licenses from being held by an LLC or a trust, the city is forcing individuals to take on personal liability unnecessarily. That means a single accident or lawsuit could put a family's entire life savings at risk simply because they were denied standard legal protections that are widely accepted elsewhere. I want to close with one final concern. The city will now charge vacation rentals commercial water rates, treating them as businesses for utility purposes. Yet at the same time, the city refuses to allow a business entity to hold the license. That inconsistency matters. You cannot treat an activity as commercial for costs and fees while denying it recognition as a business for licensing and liability protection. We're not here to threaten legal action, but we're asking the council to recognize that this inconsistency creates legal exposure and raises serious fairness concerns. We respectfully ask the city to reconsider these provisions and to explain clearly why families who have been part of this community for decades should bear the burden of policies. Thank you for your time and for listening.
Great. Anyone else like to comment?
Online?
Okay. We'll go around again with the city council. Any additional comments from the city council?
Just, this is not about any specific provision at all, but I think we recognize that any set of rules that are written down in the municipal code, the actual execution of the rules, in other words, running the city on a day-to-day basis, involves making judgments as to, not just judgments, but setting policies. And I think there is room for that. So the one example that came to my mind was the question of if sale of private vacation rentals property is sold. Now, we understand that what the clear direction in the proposal is that the license is not transferable. The one question that has not been really addressed is, okay, so what happens? Well, selling is easy. The license is not transferable, the person doesn't automatically get the license. But what if there's a owner representative is no longer available, passes away, moves to another state, and we're saying the license was what happens in that question? I don't know if that needs to be in the code, but it crossed my mind that it would be a reasonable policy matter to say if the same entity owns the vacation rental, just the owner representative went bye-bye and it needed to be substituted for somebody else. We at least, we might decide, no, we're not gonna cancel the license at that point. We'll wait until renewal time, because they can come up with if the same house is being rented by the same entity, they can come up with a new owner representative to register for the next year. In other words, there's some policy decisions that it can be made and don't need to be written in here. But some people are looking for every possible combination of events to be covered, and that's not realistic. In other words, there will be policies that get made in the course of operating this. And that does not reflect a deficiency in the article itself.
Fair enough. Other comments? Catherine?
Yeah, trying to be kind of devil's advocate and hearing the voices that we have heard in these two meetings. I agree that if a property's sold, that the license becomes nullified. But I'm wondering, in hearing the voices, is there even a possibility for a family transfer in our rules to say it can happen one time, or grandfathering in those in the system already, and apply the new rules to new license holders? Just trying to, I don't know, soften the blow for those in the position right now and showing that we're hearing a thought.
Ellen?
Well, I mean, I don't want to think out loud because I'll probably say something I shouldn't. You know, I am one that supports not having it just go on and on and on and on. I just, but then, you know, hearing you speak about the family, it's been in the family for 20 years, blah, blah, that's a whole different thing than the people that are just in and out of here. And those are the people I'm concerned about. Is they're in and out, they have no attachment to this community. Probably that's where we get a lot of the complaints, to be honest with you. But so you know, that's the only thing I'm thinking about, is I think there is some validity to be said for our people that have been here for X number of years, and it's been a family business, as opposed to just my boys live in Chicago and California, and you know, I have a son somewhere else. They're not gonna take care of the, I mean, they may think they get this license and they'll have fun. You know, no prediction to my boys, are very responsible. But I'm not so sure they would be great at running this, and yet they'd have the license, they'd be holding the license, and I don't want, you know, that's where I get a little confused about this whole thing, because I think there are families that'll be impacted by this that are very different than my family that wouldn't, you know, so I'm confused. That's all I gotta say.
So I keep looking at the original ordinance with the strikeouts. And so in section 4.08.030, number L, it's been in the ordinance this whole time that licenses aren't transferable. So it's not like we're adding this as a new thing today. It's already been in the ordinance. But I can see how maybe there could be some gray areas there. And thinking about the vacation rental licenses and it as a family business, it's tricky. Because it's like you do want to honor what the families are doing, but it's also, should it be in perpetuity forever? And people then, other families wouldn't have a chance to have a vacation rental because these licenses are being held forever. And that, I think it becomes unfair for other people who'd want to have a license. And with our wait times being so short, people just need, it's a matter of like putting new people on the deed or new people on the trust, a younger generation, and have them switch over. So it doesn't stop families from owning it or having the business license. There just might be a delay in some paperwork and go back up to code.
Catherine?
If we were to say this transfer could happen once, then that would allow those families to transfer or make changes in the deed, correct? And allow for at least another generation to continue.
That's something to consider. I do want to speak for the people that are not here. And for those people that own vacation rentals, I respect that, and I certainly respect family businesses. But you know, these are businesses in an R1 zone. And as a property owner, I had no control, I have no control in my R1 zone when I bought a home in an R1 zone that does not allow businesses to all of a sudden have a business next to me and potentially in perpetuity. I think that was not I think for most people in the city, that's not their understanding when they purchase a home. And they're not thinking, I bought a home in an R1 district, which does not allow businesses, and now I have a home adjacent to me that will always be a rental. I understand clearly that a lot of people are buying homes next to places that are a vacation rental, so it's the reverse. But I think just as often, my R1, my investment in my property as an R1 which means no businesses, so all of a sudden could very well have a business on either side of me. We do have cases in this city of elderly people having to leave the city because they were so upset about the concentration of R1 of businesses adjacent to where they lived. It's not unheard of in this city. So I just ask that the people that do own vacation rentals consider that attribute, that your business is in an R1 zone. Okay, I think that Catherine made a good point around, would it be passed once? And it would have to be quite restrictive, it would have to be an immediate family member. And I'm not sure how one words that even. But, you know, it's not I would not agree to anything that around, you know, my niece or my nephew or my third cousin.
Twice removed.
Twice removed is now on the deed and therefore they get the property. It would have to be, for me to even consider that, it would have to be highly restricted to immediate family members.
And just one time with
Just-
the current license holders?
Yeah, and I'm not even comfortable with it. I'm just saying as a consideration to think about.
And again, I'm gonna just think out loud. Because I've thought about this a lot, and I certainly want the cap. I don't want the cap any higher than it is. But we do have people here that they've lived here, they have roots here, their families here. That's very different than, you know, Ira O'Shaughnessy living in Chicago, who I die, he doesn't have any roots here really. I mean, I have some, but, and he's in Chicago and there's no real commitment to this community. There's just none. I mean, my younger son, he better, you know, but that's why I think where I struggle is you do have families here that they have done this to support their families. And my guess is they take better care, I could be wrong, of the property than those that are in Portland. And all they're doing is using this to make money. They don't come down here, their family doesn't come down here, and there's no real investment in our community. And there may not be that many people that do that. I don't know. And I don't know how you ascertain that, but I guess that's where I just struggle is that we do have families that have roots here, long roots, and possibly they've done a good job. Now, if we find out they've done a bad job, then I'm like, out of here. But I think they've got a commitment to our community. And that's where I think I struggle so much, as opposed to the people that really don't have any real investment here, except it is a business. It is a way to make more money.
And I think that's.
And that's where I get like.
And I think, I understand that, but I fear the slippery slope of deciding, you know, who's who.
I agree.
We're sympathetic to some and less sympathetic to the pure business, but it's really blurry. And
With you.
on that basis, I just assume stick with what they
Yeah.
supposedly have.
Another comment from the audience?
Do I need to come up there?
Yes, please.
Hi, Morgan Brody here in town. I just wanted to ask a clarification. Am I hearing correctly that currently both trusts and family members can maintain the license and also a home can be sold with a rental license? Is that correct?
No, it can't be sold with, can't be sold with one.
Can't be sold.
Can't be
And-
sold with
And the
one.
question is on the inheritances, how similar is an inheritance to a sale?
Yeah. Blurred relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's who is the inheritance? I think we've heard from you, Brad, so,
I have a question.
okay, go ahead. Pardon?
So how long have y'all lived?
I'm not sure that's relevant.
It is relevant. It's very relevant.
So,
We moved into-
Brad, I'm gonna ask that you keep that comment to yourself. This is, Brad, please be quiet. We've heard from you. Okay, Brad, I'm gonna ask that you leave the room if you can't control yourself. All right, so this is a difficult issue for us. And we've heard very thoughtful and well-intentioned comments from the audience. We've also heard that we need to make a change to include an amendment, an addendum, thank you, to include the rules around our expectations for our rent. Are we ready to vote on this at this time?
Don't have to, you can keep thinking about it or keep working on it.
I am, again, the reason I got on the council years ago is I wanted to make sure we had a cap, and that's when they were gonna raise the cap. So I very much believe that we don't need 200 rentals here. I don't think we need 150. I think 125 is fine, because then you're gonna lose a community, because you're just gonna have people that come in and out. So that, I am committed to that. It's just this entire people that have invested, that have lived here. They've been here longer than any of us, and I understand maybe we can just dismiss that. That's what I'm having a little trouble. It's not as easy for me to say, no, we're not gonna do it. And so, I know we've got to vote one way or the other.
Catherine, and then we'll hear from the audience.
I'm not feeling like I'm ready to vote on this. I don't know if we could, I don't know, do another work session to brainstorm. I don't know. I feel like there's just enough question that maybe I'm not ready to vote on it.
Okay, thank you.
Jennifer Blake, I haven't lived here long, but I had a random thought, which may have been brought up. What if someone is a full-time resident of Yachats and owns a vacation rental if the policy is modified in that case? So that would give them the ability to transfer to their kids, something like that. It's different.
I've been here 36.
Can you please come to the front if you have something to say?
Then I, as the person locally, and maybe there could be an alternative path.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sir, please come to the front and state your city of residence.
My name is Rick Brown. I've lived here 38 years, but I'm not a resident of Yachats. I live in Eugene, Oregon. And I've been involved in this community on and off for 36 years, so I love what you're saying, and I hear it, but how do you just limit it to Yachats when someone has been part of this community who lives in Eugene and has 2 residents? So I would like you to consider that as well.
So on the matter of, are we ready to vote? I hear Catherine saying she's not ready to vote. I hear Barry saying he is ready.
I think I'm not ready to vote, because I think it might be nice to explore a possibility of doing maybe a one-time transfer for existing license holders and just workshop that idea just a little bit to see if there's, just to make sure that we are covering all bases. Because that's the trickiest part, I think, of this whole not clarifying that the licenses are already not transferable.
Ready to vote?
I'm not ready to vote. You can't find the perfect answer here, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
There is no perfect answer. So I feel bad I'm not ready to vote, but right now, I'm not ready to vote, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
We could have a work session
I think that would be,
and really hash some of these different things out and how that could.
and what are the pros and cons, this is gonna affect people's lives and neighborhoods. I don't want, lots of vacation rental house, so we've done that. We have a cap on that, but I just need time to see if, I don't know, I always like to find the middle ground, and sometimes there's no middle ground. And someone's not gonna be happy. And I guess I'm not to the point where I figure out who I want to be unhappy.
One more comment.
I'm taking my address. So I'm torn, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to ask this question. I represent, my name is Dee Dee Scriver, and I'm here on behalf of Scenic Vacation Rentals. My sister is Nikki Hamilton, and she's been in this community for 25 years. Yeah, raised her kids here. I did too. My question is to try to understand the reasoning behind this. I'm not sure how it got to, what is the point of limiting if a person has a license right now? Why limit it to not being able to pass it on to their kids? I'm not questioning you. I'm just asking the question of what is the What is the idea behind the limit to not allowing them to pass it on?
And I think each of us would have a different answer. For me, it's that R1 issue. You know, I bought a house with an expectation that there's no businesses next to me because it was an R1. I paid a certain amount of money because with those expectations. And then all of a sudden somebody comes in and it's a rental in perpetuity. That would not be what I would want. Now, I understand completely that a lot of people are buying homes knowing full well that there is a vacation rental next to them. But that's not always the case, especially since we've had a very large turnover, right? 40% or something, at least half of the rental licenses have turned over in the last few years. So, you know, it's both sides of that issue. But that, for me, that's what motivates it. All right, I would say that I am ready to vote. I agree with Barry that I don't think we'd be able to define it any more accurately, that, you know, we're gonna set a rule and that would be the rule. However, it appears to me that it's 3-2, and I learned to count a long time ago. I think in the first 2 weeks of my term as mayor, I realized one has to learn to count to 5. So I would suggest that we do a workshop, see if we can come up with some middle ground, some way of containing how we do this. You know, is it geographic location, you know, amount of time that the person is in the home, one generation, and what's the limits on that, whatever we need to discuss around that. But I understand the concerns around moving forward.
And I would hope that those of you out here in the audience or in that audience understand this predicament. And if you have any input you want to give, write our mayor. But really, there may be, I think anyone can understand. I mean, I certainly understand, because the person that I used to have, the house I lived in when I used to visit with, she's got that house next to her, a very large, beautiful, expensive home that you never know who's going to be there. Never. So I certainly see that. And then you have irresponsible people, and I'm not pointing you, that they don't care if you call them and say that, you know, they're having a bonfire on the roof. They're like, okay, it's great. We'll get over there whenever we can get over there. We have some good people that run these homes. We have some others that don't. So if you have ideas, and there is, I don't know if there's a middle ground, but if you might have some ideas that work, I would suggest, you know, please.
Open to inviting managers into a session to sit and talk about it and to try to tell you
I don't know about
from
that.
our perspective how things are on our side, so that you have a complete
Yeah,
picture.
I mean, we're always interested in perspectives. I think what I would like to hear from is non-vacation owners in town. I think that we should.
But you also have vacation that they don't have any, they're not professionals. I've given my home to, you know, Brian, you know, and he's gonna hire someone to open the doors or things or everything, but he has no real commitment there. I mean, I know you all have commitments.
Yeah, we feel very passionate.
Well, there are some people that don't have, there's some people that don't have that. And that's just one other thing. They just don't care.
Yeah, but I think that we need to focus on the issue of inheritance. And I think that that's really the question before us. Not how well people are running it, not how many there are. But it's, to me, the crux of the matter is, can the license can this type of license be transferred? I mean, clearly there are lots of business licenses that cannot be transferred, and you wouldn't even think about questioning that. So why this particular type of license should be transferred? We've heard some good arguments for it. But it is a business license we're talking about.
Right.
Not some, well, I'll leave it at that. So, okay, so let's see if we can get a workshop. We should publicize the workshop. We should see if we can get a cross-section of people. And again, it's not about how well we're doing on the business, on maintaining what we've got. It's really, the crux of the matter is, are they inheritable?
Yeah, and as I read the ordinance now, there's no preferred treatment for people who live here, and there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So, I'm agreeing with you, it's the only one little issue.
Yeah. Okay, so we've decided that we will schedule a workshop and it will be publicized that we're having it. In a workshop, we can be pretty informal, let people sit around a table and contribute. Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to our next order of business, which is, where'd I go? Public art ordinance linked to the draft ordinance. Thank you for attending.
My license are always.
Okay, Counselor Shaughnessy, can you bring it, we looked at this last time in our last meeting. So can we, we're moving on in our business, if we can get some order in the room, please. Counselor Shaughnessy, could you fill us in on what was changed and where we're at in the process, please?
Was involved in the changes. Did we change much in?
Maybe city manager.
So we did review this during our November city council meeting. And we just added the clarification that the city manager could do approval up to the spend amount and of the city manager's spend. And then anything larger would have to come to city council.
Where's my version of it here? I know I've got it somewhere.
Like in section 2, it says acquisition of work of public art, and we added, so there was the council and we added, or the city manager, following the recommendation by the Yachats Public Arts Committee, may acquire works of public art by the following means. So we just added in city manager into those different points of acquisitions.
Are we giving the city manager too much authority with that? That was kind of my thought as I looked at it.
Mhm.
I mean, we could have a city manager that's really very supportive of Western art, and all of a sudden we have lots of Western art, or we could have a city manager that's very supportive of abstract art.
Mhm. It's true. The reason we added that was to the comment that we didn't want to have everything coming to the city council for approval.
Yeah.
Suggested by the art committee, so maybe there's some guidelines we can add in or specifications.
Come from.
Well, the call will go out once a year, correct? For people that artists that want to provide some art to the community. And then if the city manager, what you're saying, there's a special project, for instance, let's talk about maybe painting some things where the delineators are. That's a special project that's a city decision, I think. That doesn't need to go through here.
I think it would be
Is that
good
what
to
you're talking
have a conversation with them about it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
have them part of it, yeah.
But in the end, it would be your decision. But I'm sure if it's not too wacko, most of the people will go along. So I do think it doesn't give lots of, if we say that you would have to sit down and talk with them, but in the end, it's your decision. I don't know how to do that.
So,
What you're saying.
Yeah.
So in section B, number 3, under cost, it says the cost of the artwork and its installation. If the artwork cost is above the city manager's allotted spending amount, a vote approval will be brought to the city council.
And I think that's where I struggle, because your approval is 50,000.
Hands up.
Pardon?
Cameron's
Okay,
hands.
thank you. So that's where I think that's where I kind of stated 50,000 for a piece of art is a lot. Catherine, your comment, please?
Well, the 50,000 would use up all our money for the year, right?
For 25 years.
Okay, I think one of the most important things here, like under B, number 9, is the consistency or support of the city's goals, policies, and vision. I mean, that goes for the whole thing, wherever it goes, the artwork goes, what kind of artwork it is. That's the most important to me. And then under section 3, removal of the city's artwork, I brought up last time and I'm not seeing, because I don't think people understood what I was saying, but anyway, I think a sixth one should be added if the artwork causes multiple complaints for being distasteful, unsightly, unbecoming, whatever. If it's bringing in multiple complaints, that could be a reason for removal.
Or a reason for review for
Mhm.
removal.
I don't think we do this by vote.
Yeah.
Pardon?
It shouldn't be by majority vote,
The artwork?
deciding what's tasteful and what's.
Yeah, that's how, that's the whole problem. And let me get some clarity around this. So the city manager has a $50,000 signing authority. That is separate from the amount of money that is budgeted for her to do community projects.
Oh.
And so maybe that's where there's really no limit on the amount of money that would be spent on art in a given year if we were to take the $50,000 signatory authority. Because she can do that as often as she needs to, and she does. Okay? This does not, as far as I can tell, specify this falls under the monies granted to the city manager, allocated to the city manager for public grants. So this is separate, it's my understanding.
This would be under the budget line item, beautification, which
Okay,
is
separate.
mhm.
And so that we set a budget for that. I'm more comfortable with that then. If the city manager thinks that, if we have $100,000 for beautification and the city manager thinks that a single work of art for $45,000 is appropriate, that's a decision. And I can live with that. Hopefully we
But
won't be
does it
fine.
still go for city council approval?
As far as I read this, no.
Well, I would think if it's over, I don't know. I mean, like you said, we could have cowboys all over town.
Nothing wrong with cowboy.
The cowboy. Where'd that come from?
I think maybe putting a money limit and above that limit, much smaller than 50,000, above that limit, it has to be approved by the council.
What's a reasonable number?
So but there'll be a
Committee.
committee that looks at the art.
Right.
And it's based on their recommendation.
Right, but I
You-
still,
But it can still be like Bobby could override that and choose another piece of art? Is that what I'm hearing? No.
No,
It's just the cost of it.
So the committee would be doing the work, making a presentation, coming up with their consensus of what they think should be put in the city right away. They would bring that to me and I could say, yeah, no, this is not a good idea. I think that's too much for what we're looking at right now. Or yes, I think this is a good idea. Or I'm not quite sure about this. I think we should bring this to city council and have their vote go on it. So I would be kind of that. I could say yes, no, or
Mhm.
let's take this to city council based on my best judgment. So
and
the label city manager might not always be me and my best
Yes.
judgment. Is I think the
Oh,
concern.
okay.
Any other comments?
I
Catherine?
would
You need to-
say-
need
I would
Catherine,
say
wait
a
second.
limit of-
Whoa, hold on. Any other comments? Because our rules say each person has the right to speak before you get to speak again. So I just want to go around and make sure everybody's got a chance to speak.
Okay, I have a big comment, but it's not about the actual rules. This is the first time I looked at this critically, and I thought, staying out of the issue of who does what and how much, and it with the allowances and all of that. I just found enough little ambiguities and things that I thought should be separate, like maybe putting all the definitions in one place. I suggested to Councilor Shaughnessy before the meeting that, or I should say, I foolishly volunteered to revise it, not substantively, but just for better
Organization.
organization and clarity. So on that
Okay.
ground, I am not ready to go forward with
Okay.
this.
Yeah, this is a draft ordinance. Okay, Catherine?
Oh, you asked about money things before going to the council. If that was the way we went, I would say something much smaller, like, I don't know, 10,000.
I'll also say this would likely be its own budget line item in the budget for public arts. And that would be something that the budget committee would approve and have approval over that line item at that point. And then it would be then up to me to monitor that and track that and be responsible with that line item.
And Bobby, I'm not doubting your taste, but I appreciate Craig's response that we could have all art of one kind that maybe some of us really don't care for.
But you do have a committee looking at it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have-
I mean, you don't have it unless you get all the cowboy people in one room. Cowboy lovers. You're gonna have someone say, we've got 3 cowboys, we don't need one more.
Let's stop picking on cowboy art.
Move into systems.
I brought it up, but hey,
Not,
I also brought up super abstract art. Yeah.
Barry did mention this to me before, and I really trust Barry when it comes to looking at documents. That's why glad he was a lawyer. Lawyers know words. One word can just send you down to hell in a contract. And so I would be willing, not that it's me, but I think having him look at what he thinks, how to rearrange it would be a good idea. And before we vote.
Okay, so let's do that. I will say as my contribution that I'm a believer in providing the city manager with wide discretion. Maybe we've been fortunate in our city manager, but it's been more than one city manager. Micromanaging the budget has not proven to be a real effective way for the city council to operate. I don't like your artwork, you're out of here. I mean, that would be the extreme case, but certainly what we want to do is provide the city manager with discretion, especially since we have a committee of citizens contributing. So I don't think we need to be overly restrictive. And I do think the idea of dividing out beautification possibly and having part of that be public art would be appropriate. I mean, we don't have an infinite pile of money to say for beautification, so. Okay, so we're gonna rework that. All right, moving on. The consent agenda, which is usually what we get to pretty fast, but not today. Questions or comments about the consent agenda? I looked through it. It was very good. And again, I want to compliment the city staff for getting us November numbers this month. It's wonderful to have current numbers in front of the city council. I didn't see anything that jumped out of me as problematic in any areas of this report in any way. But city manager, do you want to have any comments as to what the good work of your staff has been?
Yeah, well, just one highlight, I want to mention that we are going to be experiencing some extreme weather in the next day and a half or so. And we've been in conversation with Red Cross and the Lincoln County Emergency Operations Center. And if need be, we have identified that the Commons and our Yachats volunteer staff would likely be opening that if need be. And so we're just trying to be prepared, and good thing we ran through that simulation so we can be that much more prepared to do so if it is necessary. I really just want to thank our city staff also for the wonderful work that they put into the volunteer appreciation party. Our community core values are surrounded by volunteerism, and the city staff put a lot of effort into that. And I'm sorry that I couldn't be there. I was really under the weather, but I really appreciate the work that they put into it. And I just really also wanted to highlight the open gym times for basketball. We did put those new basketball hoops in there. We have some folks that have been attending the open gym times on Tuesday and Friday from 3:30 to 5:30. We'll have to get a free throw contest in there too, but it's been really fun and the folks that are attending and utilizing the space are really enjoying it. So I just really want to make sure that that's really widely known that that's available and to take advantage of it.
Can I ask a question? Does that mean that I'm only 5'2", but probably 5'1", because I probably shrank? Can that, basket, does it go up or down or?
Yes,
Okay.
it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just what I need to hear.
Are there basketballs available?
Yeah, you have to reserve, right?
No, it's open right now, 3 to 3:30
And
to
she'll just put the
5:30.
balls out then?
Well, she'll be there to make
Okay,
sure it's
all right,
open
okay.
and stuff until we have a group
Okay.
of people who are committed to being
Okay.
there every time and have a key to open it. She'll
Okay,
make sure she's
thank you.
there. We had a group of our staff and community volunteer members meet with ODOT yesterday to start the beginning conversations on the transportation growth management plan that we are working on with them. They have allocated $225,000 for us to put a plan together and indicated it will be a long process. So buckle up for at least a three-year project here just to get the planning done. So a lot of focus on the sidewalk continuation, pedestrian safety, crosswalks, landscape buffers, and standards for streets. And it really it'll be a 20-year plan that comes out of that that will navigate our capital improvement project plan. The library is having its soft opening on December 29th.
Wow.
They start their move tomorrow. They are packing up right now. Our Public Works team will be moving them from room 8 at the Commons over to the new facility. And then a grand opening is set for February 28th, and we will be putting out really lovely invitations and inviting the community and beyond to come celebrate that quite huge accomplishment that was there. And so that's really exciting. Our ADA restrooms are under construction right now on the north end of the Commons. They did pass their first couple county inspections yesterday for structural and plumbing. They have also broke through walls now, and there is a door to room 8 and a door to the hallway, opening a hole in the wall that looks like the shape of a door. Lots of great progress there. We are coming up on January, and I want to make sure we get the goal setting session on the calendar. I've looked at January 14th at 11 a.m. for our goal setting session, so we can get rolling into that. We have had significant conversations with our commissions and committees to participate in handing over their discussed goals to give to you. And I have received goals from a majority of those groups for you to be considering in your goal setting session.
January 14th.
January
time.
14th at 11 a.m.
I have a goal setting with I have a meeting with the housing people in Lincoln City, but that's at 1 o'clock.
Okay, we can look at, those are just a day I want
I hate
to try to
to
put out there, but
be-
I'll put out a few dates.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure that we have
Right.
January goal setting sessions on our mind. Kimmy has put together binders to give to everybody for the new agenda management system. It's not live at this point, but what she's giving you is kind of the procedures for how to utilize it. And you will be getting logins so you can practice, even though it's not live right now, you can get in and you can practice. And then we will schedule times with each of you to put some practical application into how to use it. And I really want to give a large shout out to our Public Works team throughout these large weather experiences that we've had. We did, when this last really heavy rain, we did have 2 motors fail that will live underwater. They live underwater and their wiring is all underwater. That is since 2009, and they both simultaneously burnt out trying to process all of the water that was coming into the plant. We did have we had backup but our team was there working over, through the night, running the plant manually and replacing those motors and getting the specialized electrical company to come down and get them all of the new pieces connected. So they were literally like running the decanters with a drill, making things go up and down throughout the night and just really making sure that they did everything they could to ensure that we did not have a DEQ compliance failure there. So just a huge kudos to their dedication and knowledge. That's
And we're all set. I see generators all over town for the rain coming up.
And one other thing, I'm glad to see that Angel Job Corps is going to be working, I think, with the library. Whenever we can use them, I think, I know that they get paid, but not a lot of money, but they do some good work and it's just nice to have them here.
Question on the food and beverage taxes. Is it looking any better or different? We were going to do a survey. Have we formulated that at all or had some conversations?
Yep, we have the questions ready to go and in discussion amongst our committee. We will wait till January to put it out because there's king tides, there's the holidays. We wanted to get a full picture and also not interrupt their concentration on business during that time. So we're gonna wait to the beginning of the year and start fresh with that. Right now, we did collect on things that hadn't been collected at that point. We have a couple payment plans that are happening right now with 2 restaurants that are following up with that. And we'll see what the next quarter brings. It's going to be watching it very closely though.
I see a lot of people in town for this time of year. I don't know whether they're eating in restaurants or not. That's kind of the question.
Yeah, we did do a breakdown of all of the different individual restaurants in the 3 years back. And, there's change in ownership of different locations, which, takes time to reestablish the business and get that up. So I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Any other questions on the consent agenda?
I do. So on the Ocean View Drive delineators, I see that there's a comment about doing some artistic painting in the pavement. And so is that paint going to be using that really high durable paint so it doesn't wear off?
We would definitely want to make it, and this is the very beginning concept thoughts, but yes, we would definitely want to make sure it's.
So I've been hearing from lots of people that they really want to decorate crosswalks. And I know we probably can't do it on 101, but we have other crosswalks in town. And so maybe just to put it out there, it might be interesting to explore, like while we're using that same paint for the Ocean View Drive, like maybe we could decorate some crosswalks since the paint and the labor will already be.
Well, we will have a public art committee soon. So
That's why I put it out there.
that's great. Yeah, I love the idea.
Does the state have any constraints? I mean, we'll need to look at that. I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea. It's just that there
Well,
may
we
be
have
safety
people-
standards.
There's a couple of crosswalks on our city property, our city streets.
Yeah,
I
but-
would think that would be the only place.
But there may be rules about it. We'll need to.
Just did one right in like their 9 Beach area, so they might have some guidance for us on that. I did just get a note really quick from our friends at Pacific Habitat that are here to present, and they do have to rush into another meeting. So
Okay.
if we want to skip ahead.
Yeah, let's,
them, and it's the important.
Catherine, one quick comment, please, Catherine, because we have to move ahead.
Well, okay, I can actually send these to Bobby then. I can do that instead.
Okay.
I can send my questions about the consent agenda. They're not huge and I can just send them to Bobby.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda pending some questions from Catherine?
So moved.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to the
Business.
new business, Pacific Habitat on the progress of the wetlands. For those that aren't familiar, we've been working on, we initially had a wetlands proposal inventory that was started in 2000, God knows, 2009 or something. And we didn't respond in time or it dropped and was canceled in 2011. And we started off a new process in, not sure when, but 2021, 2022, something like that. Maybe 23, but it's taken a very long time to move this forward for something that does not seem to me to be overwhelmingly complicated.
John and Sean, we have you here. I'd love to have you guys kind of give a little bit of background and where you're at with the process and timeline. Move forward.
Absolutely. And also
Thank
we
you.
have Jim. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Yeah. My name is John Van Staveren. I'm the president and senior professional wetland scientist with Pacific Habitat Services. And I'm here with Sean. Sean, can you introduce yourself?
Sorry, wrong mute button. Yes, Sean Eisner, also with Pacific Habitat Services.
And Jevra.
Jevra Brown with the Department of State Lands.
All right. Thank you. Yes, I actually have to leave at 2:30 because I have a Department of State Lands meeting I have to jump to. So Sean can take over. But as the Mayor correctly said, this process has been ongoing for a long, long time. I was actually at the initial public meeting that was held, and I do not remember when it was. Maybe it was 2009. A long time ago now, I realize that. But we are very close to wrapping up the project. And Jevra can weigh in on her review. I know she's been reviewing it over the years. And when we finish, it goes to Jevra at the Department of State Lands for her review. And I'm not sure if there's any other information that I should provide you all.
Well, what I've reached out to the city manager about is, because it's taken a long time, I would like to have some tracking of what the barriers are, what the actions are to complete those barriers, and what the timeline is to get them completed. I've had some discussions with local representatives, and they also want to know why these things drag out as long as they do. We're all ignorant and uninformed, and what seems simple is not. But at this point, I think if we could just distill it to what the issues are, what the barriers are to solving them, and what the timeline is to get through those barriers. So that's my interest at this point.
That sounds good. Yeah, very valid, no doubt. The progress, we have made lots of progress. And in fact, if I could share my screen, is that possible? I'm assuming it is.
Yes, just one moment.
Okay. Let me know.
All right, you're all set.
Thank you. So these are the maps that we have. Let me just make that a big screen. So we conducted the field work a long time ago. We have assessed the quality of the wetlands, determine whether they are significant or not. And I know that Jevra with the Department of State Lands she is the reviewer, and she has reviewed this already to a degree. But we are getting close to submitting these maps. And you can see here, they show where the wetlands are located, and with our report. And Sean, I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong here, that we can complete this by the end of January. Is that correct?
Yes, I've reviewed DSL's comments. I reviewed Catherine's comments. That was very helpful. Catherine, your comments from September were very helpful in addressing some of the questions that DSL had. So we've kind of got a draft put together of the response, and minimal changes to the actual text of the document. Nothing changes substantially, like there's no change in significance of any of the wetlands. Those things all remain unchanged. As a little bit of additional background, part of the issue with the delay is when we started in 2011, DSL didn't have certain standards when it came to submittal GIS information. So when there was a delay between 2015 and 2020, DSL says, well, you know, we now require these things to be submitted with GIS. So we ended up having to go back to original data, much of it which we didn't even have anymore. So DSL shared what they had, and then we had to update everything. And we did that, and that's what the most recent review was. But there have been changes such as the UGB in Yachats was modified and updated. So that's another thing we had to go back in and fix. So that's where it's been a matter of chasing our tail when it came to a lot of the GIS stuff and changing standards. If this had been completed back in 2011, the wetland lines would all been the same, but DSL and the city would not have had the same level of information. You would have had a pretty cryptic set of mapping and GIS information. So we've got all that wrapped up, and now I know what DSL needs. And as you can see, we got the lion's share of the mapping done. There's probably a couple of nitpicky things that we'll need to straighten out, but it's just about ready for resubmittal.
And Jevra, can you tell us what you think your review will be?
I could. I've been trying to turn my video on, but I apparently cannot. So I take a lot of responsibility for some of the delays. I think that maybe back in the day we had some staffing turnover. I don't think I was the first person to review this.
No, you were the third.
And things got dropped. But regardless, I was fortunate enough to have one of my coworkers return from retirement to help with review. And we are also fortunate enough to have, we are now in the process of hiring a second one of me. There has always been only one of me. I know that this has been backburnered and long delayed, so it is high priority. And I really doubt at this time, because we did have meetings with the city and with Pacific Habitat Services at some point when they got back on this. So I believe that they will have addressed all of DSL's concerns. So I'm hoping that I can get on it in January, and they will have responded to everything, and we can do a quick turnaround.
This is the mayor. Does the city have the list of what the concerns were? You know, how much are we able to track where we're at? You know, I'm putting my manager hat on and saying,
yep,
you know, what are the issues? What's the progress on the issues? Do you need more resources? Which it sounds like you do. And what's the plan of attack? You know, my frustration's coming through. I'm sure that there's been a lot of, we've heard this before, let's just put it that way. And what my experience has been is that we have to be that much more explicit when things have been dragging out for an extended period.
So
I guess, I don't know who wants to take that.
No, go ahead. I mean, I got it, Jevra. So we received the comments from Peter Ryan, who Jevra just referenced, and she shared it with the group. And Catherine has most recently reviewed those. She got those back to us in September. That is the list of what DSL needs. There was a document that is shared as part of the DSL review of an LWY. They create a document that says these are our comments and questions, and then we respond within the text. So the first round of that has happened, and then Catherine has added her comments, and then so I just need to add my final comments to that document, which like I said, I have a draft version of that. So that's where it's all at. I can share my draft with Catherine if you would like to see it before we submit, but
I think I'm all good.
okay.
The last one I saw, we had 30 plus of the 36 points addressed, I believe. And the things that were remaining were definitely above my pay grade.
Yeah, they're mostly mapping issues, and like I
Yeah.
said, the changing of the GIS, that was where most of them landed. Some things had to do with like the urban growth boundary changes, and that has now changed again, because now that we actually have the new official UGB line, the acreage has changed, but that's a small, simple change. That's just a math change in the report. So those are the types of things. It's all small stuff. That's why we're confident we can get it out in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. I think we can leave it at that, but just be aware that we really want to see explicit plans for getting this done. Don't want to have this drag out another year as we're entering 2026. That it's time to wrap this up and get on to your next pieces of work.
Absolutely. Understood.
Yeah, understood.
Yes, I confirm that.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you all for coming today. Appreciate it.
Very
All right. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, happy holidays.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So I think we'll leave it at that. The expectation is that this be done and dusted as quickly as possible. I've had, again, queries from state officials regarding the progress on this. And if our little city takes this long, I wonder what happens in a big community. Okay, we're going to bounce back up to new business then. Link to the YAHATS addendum for multi-jurisdictional natural hazards mitigation plan in a resolution. City manager, can you help us understand what we're voting on here?
Yes, so this YAHATS addendum to the Lincoln County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan is something that was put together through the University of Oregon and Lincoln County with specific addendums to each community. This has been reviewed by city staff, our emergency preparedness committee, and city's council has seen it and made notes as well. We've sent all of those to this organization, the University of Oregon, that is created this risk management and natural hazards mitigation plan, and is asking that the city council make a formal resolution accepting the update.
I had a minor question for you in, I don't see the page 8 of 66. It says land use codes in the second paragraph, second sentence says, the city is in the process of finalizing the associated code with second reading scheduled. I believe we had finalized that code.
We did, yeah. Mhm.
Another really minor thing that I saw, but I can't remember. So, in your opinion, city manager, is there anything we need to do to, and I've read it, 80, what was it, 88 pages, 66 pages.
I've read through it. I think that was a very good catch that you had there. I think the first time I did read it, that we were still in the process.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And we can certainly do the resolution with a motion that we have that piece edited.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. We've read it, we've discussed it in the past. Is there any other questions or concerns regarding this? Our emergency preparedness chair is here. Lynn, did you get a chance to look at this or review it?
Review the draft.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So we're We know that we have real risks in this city. No surprise to any of us. Okay, we do also have the resolution supporting that, looking for it. I will read it. Whereas the city of Yachats recognizes the threat that natural hazards pose to people, property, and infrastructure within our community, and whereas undertaking hazard mitigation actions will reduce the potential for harm to people, property, and infrastructure from future hazard occurrences, and whereas an adopted natural hazards mitigation plan is required as a condition of future funding for mitigation projects under multiple FEMA and post-disaster mitigation grant programs, and whereas the city of Yachats has fully participated in the FEMA prescribed mitigation planning process to prepare the Lincoln County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan, which has established a comprehensive coordinated planning process to eliminate or minimize these vulnerabilities. Whereas the city of Yachats has identified natural hazard risks and prioritized the number of proposed actions and programs needed to mitigate the vulnerabilities of the city of Yachats to the impacts of future disasters within Lincoln County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan. That needs an acronym. Whereas the proposed projects and programs have been incorporated into the Lincoln County MJNHMP. That has been prepared and promulgated for consideration and implementation, whereas the Oregon Department of Emergency Management and Federal Emergency Management Agency Region 10 officials have reviewed the Lincoln County plan and pre-approved it contingent upon official adoption by participating governments and entities, whereas the NHMP is an ongoing cycle of development and improve its effectiveness, whereas City of Yachats adopts the NHMP and directs the city manager to develop, approve, and implement the mitigation strategies and any administrative changes in the NHMP. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the City of Yachats adopts the Lincoln County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan as an official plan. Be it further resolved that the City of Yachats will submit the adoption resolution to the Oregon Department of Emergency Management and Federal Emergency Management Agency Region 10 officials to enable final approval of this plan, adopted this 17th day of 2025. You can get a motion to approve the proclamation, the resolution, sorry.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you. So we will move on from there. Thank you for the work that's gone into this. I know it's a very long and detailed document. It's easy for us to dismiss it as, oh, well, we've done that. But it's an important document and provides guidance for our emergency preparedness committee, city manager. So thank you for all those that have looked at it. Brings us to the Centerway presentation by City Planner Gunther. My basic question on this is, why is this a matter for the city council? Seems like it's either a planning commission issue or something that is just done by homeowners as a matter of course. So Catherine, perhaps you can help us understand, give us the big picture on this. Why are we even looking at this?
Yeah, so back in 2006, the developer of the Sunset Village condos, which are the 4 condo buildings directly across from City Hall, was struggling to meet his parking requirement. He came to the city with the proposal of using a very narrow strip of city-owned property that runs just east of those buildings. Runs from 6th Street, kind of curves back up and reconnects with King Street south of those condos. I went to several Public Works and Streets Commission meetings where the idea of opening that city-owned property as a public street or then as a private street, both were shot down because it doesn't meet any of the city standards for a public or private street. The developer then went directly to council and petitioned for an easement just for use by the residences in those condo buildings, and city council granted the easement. So I put a copy of the easement agreement in your packet. That easement was written with the idea that others in the future might approach council asking to use that access. So it sort of left that door open. So I guess that's why it's coming to you today, that it was granted by council. It was left that council would determine who and how could use it in the future. Doesn't really fit into either planning commission or public works jurisdiction. It is an easement, but not an exclusive easement for use by the residential owners in the condos.
Yeah, well, I want to go. I'm sure.
Very.
Catherine, if it's not an exclusive easement, then that doesn't make it, doesn't make it a public walkway, if nothing else. It becomes no longer, if you can, that's okay. Reserved for the city's use.
Well, and maybe the city attorney needs to weigh in on this rather than myself, but so the very short paragraph that I would point to, which is in Exhibit B of that agreement, Exhibit B, Item 5, says center way right of way is for public use and is not exclusive access by grantees. That's kind of a weird. If other users receive permission for use of the right of way, it shall be coordinated with grantees' use as the city deems necessary. So at this point, it sort of is for exclusive use of the condos because they are being charged with sole responsibility for the maintenance and for any liability insurance associated with that. So the way I read that, if other people jump onto this agreement, that cost would be redistributed. I don't see where the planning commission or even the planner, I mean, I guess I'm the one pitching this because I have some historic knowledge of it. There's nothing in our code that would direct us in any way on this. And the unfortunate part is that this probably never should have happened 20 years ago. I attended all the Public Works and Streets Commission meetings, and I did not catch that it was coming to council, so I didn't plead my case then. So, but at this point, that whole project was developed around use of that city-owned piece of property.
And where is this, the portion that you're saying, other users?
That's in, so if you have I can pull it up here if you want on my screen. It's in the easement agreement, Exhibit B, Item 5.
Okay.
Do we have this?
Yeah, no, that's Exhibit B. Right.
Page 4 or 5.
I'm not, I see 4 documents, and is this Centerway easement?
Keep scrolling.
Okay, so
It's up on it's up on the screen right now, I believe.
Be the
oh, I see, exhibit B, okay. Thank you. Oops.
Having read that,
Kath, can I ask Catherine a question?
Just hold on a minute. I see you. Go ahead, Barry.
Well, Catherine read it, but we weren't reading it at the same time. So the right of way that was granted by the action in 2006 is for public use and not exclusively You know, that's actually, I think there's a typo in here. Because it's not for the exclusive access by grantees. The grantee is the city,
Exactly. It should say grantor.
right? But going on, if other users receive permission for use, it'll be coordinated as the city deems necessary. So the way I read that is that whether it was a good, bad, or indifferent idea back in 2006, the alley is Center Way has become a kind of a de facto street. But we're just calling it an easement for access by the residents of the Sunset Village. And now there's a request for an adjacent property owner to have access to it as well. And the way I read this is that the city can grant it. The city has the authority to grant that. And, you know, coordinate it with, and again, when it says grantee, I'm not sure whether they mean grantee or grantor, but it still looks to me like as necessary means we get to decide. So in other words, my reading of this is that, again, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent in 2006, is the council would have the right to recognize the access by someone else, namely the Blakes. So, I don't know, it looks to me like we have authority to do it.
Yeah. Sure. Catherine?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm looking at the map, aerial map, and is it correct, Catherine, that this is only coming into question because that one property is wanting to get into there? Don't they have a driveway from King Street?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's exactly why this is coming before you. In that aerial, I don't know if it's up on the screen now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the outline property, that's the Blake's home. They had requested use of Center Way, basically just to cut in a one parking space on the western side of their property. They do have an existing driveway. It's a driveway easement through the property just to the north of them. Let's see, I don't know if you can see my cursor. So on this property here, they've got a shared driveway. They would like to add an additional parking space down here.
Okay, so then our problem as a city, if I'm hearing what Barry's saying correctly, is if we start saying yes to them, then we could say yes to the next one up next. So that's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 6 more driveways on what's not a street.
Well, and before we go too far on that, that's another problem I have with the way the easement agreement was drafted. The agreement refers to maintenance of this stretch from 6th Street to the southern edge of the condos, but the legal description that's used in granting the easement is actually this whole area that's outlined. Can you see the new map now? Outlined in red. So there are potentially quite a few other property owners.
Wow.
So that's one thing, you know, I think this is an opportunity to clean some stuff up. That in my opinion, the 2006 easement agreement should have only addressed down to about this point here.
Right.
But it left it wide open for it. I think, I'm not an attorney and I try not to play one at work, but left it open for any of these other property owners along King Street to make the same request. And that was not the intent in 2006. But right now, even if we just look at what's already been developed, you're right. We've got this property here, full disclosure, I own it. I will not be asking for that, but a future owner might. We've got this lot here that's owned by the Petersons. They do plan to build at some point and have not developed any access off of King Street at this point. So one of the things I discussed with the fire chief, you know, because I asked how do you feel about this? And we had a conversation about the difference between properties like the Blakes, where there is a primary access that's already developed off of a legitimate city street, versus somebody like Peterson's or myself who might petition to have that be the sole access.
And no fire trucks could get down there.
You know, they'd make it work. The trash truck gets down there, but I see a huge difference between those two requests, right? Having a improved driveway coming off of King Street to serve these two homes versus somebody like this lot or this lot wanting to bypass access off of King Street. Or for that matter, any of those other properties going south on this bigger look at Center Way.
Catherine, can you, we can't tell from the map, but I always thought that everything, I mean, I understood the Center Way was at least platted out as a street, and that it ran down with, you know, in the, as the red outline indicates. But it looks in these aerial photos like it's completely overgrown. And it looks like,
well,
basically it's paved up to roughly the Blake's house.
No portion of it is paved, so it's gravel. 6th Street itself is not paved.
Okay.
It looks overgrown because it's 20 feet wide and there are enormous spruce trees to the east of it. So I didn't even really realize, again, full disclosure, this is my house here. I bought this in the adjacent lot back in '94 and didn't even realize there was any city-owned property in here. So fast forward to '06, and once the easement agreement was approved, the developer basically cut through all the brush here, graveled it, and as I say, it's their responsibility to maintain it. It's only 20 feet wide at its intersection with East 6th Street. So it doesn't meet city standards for recognition as anything other than an easement. And you used the word alley. That's kind of the closest thing. We don't have a definition of an alley in our code, but we make quite a few references to an alley. And so that's sort of the way I've been treating it, in trying to figure out the do's and don'ts on Center Way.
Question,
There's a question, a hand up in the audience. Can't see who it is.
it's Catherine.
Oh, it's
I have a-
Catherine?
I have
Okay.
a question.
Catherine, other Catherine.
Other Catherine, yes.
The houses and buildings on the west side of Center Street, Center Way, do they have access to Center Way besides the condos?
No. So this one, for example, has this driveway that comes up just south of the Whale Tail off of 101. And sorry, this one here has access off of East 6th Street.
Okay.
I have a question. There's more, I know there's other streets in town that are like this, like these little hidden streets that were supposed to be developed into streets. So
Not
there was
really.
one that, there was one that was supposed to go from East 2nd to East 3rd. And I forgot the name, what that street was supposed to be called. Do you know?
Prospect?
Is it Prospect?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just I'm just curious, like how it's worked. Is that still city owned or did it get absorbed by the other properties?
So Prospect is still city owned and was turned into Prospect Park.
Oh, I'm talking further north or further east.
Hang
up
on,
the
I can
hill.
pull up a map here real quick. So there have been two different things that have happened. The city has vacated a fair number of stretches of roadway that were platted but never developed.
Okay.
But almost without exception, I want to say without exception, but then somebody will find the exception.
Yeah.
Those were 50-foot wide right-of-ways. They were just stretches of road where the terrain did not allow the road to be constructed. It would not have met city standards because of the steepness.
Okay.
So this is different in that
Well,
this, no matter how you configure it, could not meet city standards.
So I was just curious, like what's happened with those other roads if they got absorbed into other people's properties? And
Yes.
is that something we need to maybe look at here?
Well, this document
Kind of-
mentions the potential for vacation in the future. So if the city just said, we don't want to own this anymore, we're going to vacate it. Then the state has very specific rules about how that works. And let me see if I can find a quick example. Well, there's one right in the neighborhood. Basically, state law says then you divide it right down the middle and you give half to property owners on either side.
Okay.
So if that were to happen on City Way, this property would get 10 feet and this property would get 10 feet and on down the line.
So we
And-
could
But
potentially do.
this document says if the city vacates it, that this easement will still be in place. It gets
Yeah.
the city out of the picture. Yeah, that is, I mean, that is a possibility, is to say we, the city, don't want to play any role in this going forward. I've never done one. The city can initiate the vacation process. We have never done that. It's always been a property owner saying, hey, city, would you consider giving this up? I'm mowing it already. You know, just give it to me and I'll take care of it. So if, for example, the property owners that already have another access, if they weren't interested in that vacation, I don't know that they get a say.
Okay, we need to kind of wrap this up. It seems to me that the easement document needs to be corrected because it's unclear between grantee and grantor. And the term is,
It's a done deal.
we can't revise it.
You could, in that at this point, well, this would be the time. I spoke with the developer of buildings 3 and 4 that are still in the course of construction. So now would be a good time because you sort of have one party there, you have an active HOA in the other building, so there would only be 2 parties required to update this thing.
Well, I mean, so because of the condominium owners having full responsibility, it seems very awkward to me to allow another person or persons, other properties to start using it without some kind of an amendment so that if they're going to be driving on it and using it, that they should also have some maintenance responsibility. I will also add parenthetically that Centerway continues up and we do have utility easements through part of Centerway. So giving it up when at some point we may need to use it for access for utilities would be something I'd want to check with our Public Works team first.
Well, and Mayor, that's a good point. Typically, when we vacate a street, a 50-foot wide right of way, we retain at a minimum a 10-foot utility easement. In this case, we only have 20 feet to work with. So if we vacated that, we'd be vacating 20 feet, but retaining half of that as an easement.
So Catherine, what's your recommendation? What do we do here?
You know, I honestly don't know. I think I think we need to be consistent. It needs to be the same answer for anybody who asks. I would say if the city allows additional folks to use it, it should be on the condition that they have their primary access is off of a city street, so that we don't allow it in lieu of access off of, in this case, King Street. I would also say that our code does not require any setback from an easement. So I would say that anybody who's going to build adjacent to this should be required to have a setback from that easement. Maybe not the 20 feet required if it were a street, but something so that people can't build right on top of it.
Sure.
And as you say, also share in the expense of maintenance, and they're supposed to be carrying some liability insurance.
So so it sounds like we need to renegotiate the original easement and then put it into code how the easements and setbacks work.
I don't know that you need to revise the code, but I would be very
Or-
explicit in this because it's sort of an unusual situation. So the council in 2006 did require, you can see here where this car is parked, that's 20 feet off the centerway easement. So they required the structures to be set back 20 feet.
When, in the revision of this, could we add a statement of setback for the particular easement?
Yes.
Yeah. The other, I walked that area the other day, and for this particular request, my concern, and you know, probably be general, is that it's relatively steep, coming off a relatively steep hillside. Any stormwater coming off of these lots could be very problematic. And it would flow down the hill essentially into the property behind the marijuana store. And that's, you know, developments cannot cause cannot disrupt, water flow from new developments cannot typically cause problems for existing property. That's well established. So anything we do will have to address stormwater mitigation or guaranteed. And I have that in general with Centerway. I mean, where's that water go? We don't have
But I don't know that you could be, so if this lot here, if they chose not to petition for access off of this, you know, Centerway doesn't really come into play, right? I mean, we do
which
have
lot?
rules about this lot here.
I can't see where you're pointing.
Oh, sorry. Let's see if I can. So, well, the lot, and there are two undeveloped lots.
Yes.
Between 6th Street and the Blake's house.
Yes.
If either one of those built but did not petition for access off of Center Way, we wouldn't even have a discussion, right? We'd have the same,
Right.
but our building code says you've got to deal with your own runoff. So we sort of already got that covered. I don't know that allowing an additional parking spot on Center Way would change that picture.
Yeah, my concern is that we would be allowing, if we were to allow that, and it caused excessive runoff to a subsequent lot or a lower lot, that the city would have some liability there. And I'd like to avoid that. So as we rewrite it, I'm just saying that we would, you know, responsibility would be on the homeowners.
Gotcha. And I think I understand now. Yeah. And I think there already is a clause in the existing agreement that addresses that, but we could have the city attorney take a look at it and see if that needs to be reworked.
Okay. All right. I think we kind of discussed this as much as we can at this point. So I think to Councilor Headland's point, we should look at the easement agreement, see if the property owners will be willing to make changes to clarify the questions that we've raised today, and then bring it back. In principle, I have no problem with this. It's just that, you know, as you've noted, Catherine, it's kind of a unclear situation given Centerway, and it will be getting, if those new units get developed, there will be quite a bit more traffic now.
And that's maybe one other thing is some sort of well, I guess I can't petition for Yahat's first stoplight there, but we do need to consider the increased traffic coming into 6th Street. We've had some real sketchy moments now that the construction has picked up again there. Large trucks that have no problem pulling in, but they have a really difficult time backing out. So might be a good time to address something there too.
Catherine, final thought, please.
Well, I still have a concern about those houses or the lots to the north using Centerway and making precedent for that. But what in redoing things, how can we prevent that whole strip that Catherine was talking about going south and east from becoming the same problem?
That would be relatively simple, is just to tweak the legal description that's in the first paragraph of the easement agreement. And rather than describing it as that whole stretch that comes back around and connects with King Street, just make the description be the first however many 100 feet of that. And then we're done with that.
Okay, can we move on then? Did we get enough information to change things? I'd like to take a 10-minute break. We've been in here since 3 hours now, and I think we deserve a break. So 10-minute adjournment, and then we will come back at 20 minutes after 3 o'clock.
They're in for the long haul. envisioning it.
No, I wasn't either at
So
all.
they just gave this. to
Yeah,
me. Oh, you saw?
I know.
Okay, okay. That's not what I had in my mind when I was.
Be helpful. The big picture,
Mhm.
go into details. Okay, we ready?
As ever.
Yes.
And what is that? Some new technology now. I seriously.
Walk you through it. It'll be,
Okay.
it's gonna make it easier.
This, I've heard that so many times. But, oh, man, I'll be easy.
It'll make it easier.
Okay, I'm gonna be positive about it.
There we go.
All right, we're gonna come back into session for the December 17th City of Yahat City Council meeting. And we are in new business now, Community Spaces Committee presentation. This is, we touched on this during our executive session in terms of accomplishments, and I'd like to hear more about it.
Yeah, so this title, even when it coming to the agenda, has changed quite a bit since just even putting it on the agenda and the plans were. So I'll going to give you a little bit of the backstory and where we are now and where we hope to go with this. Now for about a year, the Parks and Commons Commission has been in lengthy discussions on how to evolve their group and how to best serve the city. What is the purpose of their group? And we have, even to the point of should the group dissolve, how can, and really it comes down to, for what I was hearing was, how can this group of volunteers best serve the city and, really help push projects through and help the city council execute its goals, and city staff help the city council execute its goals. So it started with the Parks and Commons, and it evolved quickly to the Public Works and Streets, Library, and Emergency Preparedness Committee, as well as we dug a little bit further into the conversation. So with the Parks and Commons Commission, they did vote that they would like to turn into a committee, and their structure would start with a work session where the group would work on projects that group is assigned to work on. And they could break up into subcommittees and then bring back work and reports together, and then carry that work forward and be able to really push action forward rather than just sitting and hearing about what other people are doing, what other work groups are doing, what city staff is doing. That gives them a chance to really get their hands involved in these projects as well. And we did work on a draft. We started working that draft into an amendment for the city code. When we got to the city code to amend that, removing Parks and Commons and replacing it with Community Spaces Committee, which they've decided that and voted on their name being, it was just clear that the whole thing needed to be redone. This is ordinance it's ordinance 209, which is from the 90s, before we were a council manager form of government, still reflecting on how commissions were supporting the mayor and city council before we had a full city staff and city manager. So there was many pieces in there that were very outdated and needed to be addressed as well. So I took it to our city attorney and said, how should we go about this? Now this is a really hairy ordinance that has all of the commissions. We have one commission that for sure wants to be a committee. We have the other commissions that are right on their tail. What's your suggestion? And he said, start fresh, start all over. We're gonna just make a new structure altogether. And this is a very good project. Florence recently has done this. He said it's a very worthwhile. And he gave an example of how Florence has restructured theirs. And it's a chapter for commissions and committees. And they called ad hoc work groups. So we would have work groups as well wrapped into that same. And the first section of that chapter would just be kind of some of the blanket provisions, terms, eligibility, things like that are for all committees and commissions, some of the clarification between commission and committee, which which was part of the reason of going to committee. Commissions is widely seen as a body that can make a final decision or is state mandated. So that's the planning commission for us. The other groups were titled commissions, but really didn't have commission authority. They're committees. And I think that's where some of this long time confusion or frustration may have been from, is some of just that titling, really. And a committee is an advisory group, which is the way that our commissions have been acting, is advisory, but this just really clarifies that and delineates those roles, that committees are there to advise staff and council, and commissions have the authority to make final decisions. And then having a section for each individual committee or work group that is the guiding guidelines of what that group focuses on, whether it be the Public Art Committee, the Community Spaces Committee, Public Works Committee, Library Work Group, or Emergency Preparedness Work Group. They would each have their own section of how they would operate. This does not preclude them from the meeting laws. They would still be required to notice meetings, take minutes, have recorded, have public access for committees. Work groups are work groups for the city manager, and those do not have the same public meeting requirements. So that's just kind of where we're at now. Each of those commissions have voted to evolve their title and role, and are on board with this. So it's in our city attorney's hands right now. And that would be the next step, bring how that ordinance is structured back to you to evaluate, and each of the committees to evaluate.
I'm very supportive. We've had these discussions. Other counselors have comments as the concerns or what you'd like to do, or?
I thought it was a very good memo, very clear, and totally on board.
Yeah, I think communication to the city will be very important. We're not disbanding, we're still soliciting city input or citizen input. And as a matter of fact, it'll be a more effective form and format. And then in addition to the logic, it was written in 2009, did you say? And
1994, it was
1994.
ordinance 209.
Okay, 1994, city is evolved. So I think we need a communications plan to go with it. Otherwise, I'm afraid rumors will start.
And I think what's really important is that this change is to really embody that volunteerism spirit and make sure that these folks that are dedicated their time are utilizing their time in a way that they feel they're supporting the city.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's.
Thank you for letting us know, and I'm looking forward to the ordinance language and giving the commissions a chance to speak for it. Did the two commission chairs in the room have anything to add, or?
Nothing to add. I'm Dave Ravinas from the Library Commission. Just to say that actually, the city manager mentioned the ordinance 209, the library's ordinance is 208, so it's even before that one. And it claims that we are governing. And that's completely obsolete.
Yeah.
We have the administrator of the library, is member of the city staff. And answers to the city manager, and so it's absurd of us to even be what we are.
Yeah, we do like your opinions.
Lynn Raps, Public Works and Streets Commission Chair. All of the commissioners are very supportive of this.
Nice.
They voted, they do understand, basically it's not really a change. Other than we are going to take the direction from the other commission to committee and having a work session first. We can get more done in open discussion that way. The emergency preparedness, currently as a committee, we then go to a work group So that we would be a lot less formal, that way, and we can get more done. We're an active group, not a decision-making group at all. We want to do this stuff. That'll give us flexibility of being able to do more. I think.
And I'd like to note on that, so the work groups would be groups of mine, and I have a very formal process that I've put in place for those. And so there's an application and a guidelines for and reporting process for each of the work groups. And because they would be a work group of mine, we would be in constant communication, and I would have a staff liaison with that. If I was unable to be that direct person, I would have a staff assigned to it, and we would be reporting through our staff reports so that the city council is able to see continuous progress forward of what's happening with the Emergency Preparedness Committee. Just really, it will have a guideline as well so that it ensures that it doesn't fall off the radar, because I think that's really important. I really don't want to see that happen. They have done so much good work, and I think that's a critical point. Same with the library. They have been instrumental in all of the work the library has done, but right now their work is going to be most beneficial helping our administrator with various tasks that need to be dealt with to ensure that our library is running smoothly and projects and very project focused work groups.
Which I think we know that's going to happen. You know, nothing goes as smoothly as one would hope, but okay, well, I think that's great. Wonderful. So I'm looking forward to seeing the language on that. Next order of business is the Council of Government as a fiscal agent. I don't know what that means, I guess.
That was something that you had discussed during our agenda planning meeting. That was a request for the from the Newport City
Yes.
manager, or I mean,
Yeah. Yes. So thank you. So we're actually having a coastal mayors meeting on Friday. And it might be, things may change, so I don't want to push this too far. But the city of Newport had requested that, has decided that they would like to use the, I believe it's the Council of Governments, which is, who is it? It's Lincoln, Lynn, and Benton counties as their fiscal agent to handle costs associated with fighting the location of ice facilities. That was going to be more than they could bear as themselves, and they would, if they need to, they will be requesting funding from various smaller or other county entities, but the Council of Governments would be the fiscal agent. So we wouldn't be sending money to Newport, we'd be sending it to the Council of Governments. There's been no direct request for funding at this point, so this is really just a point of understanding that should there be litigation that needs funding, that request will be coming from probably a larger entity than Newport specifically. But we should be aware of that. And that's all I have to say at this point. We might have more information after Monday. And as long as I have the floor on that, and moving into ongoing business, speaking of money and requests for money, we will talk very brief. We'll talk about the water tank location, but I wanted to also update the council. This could have been from the mayor, but I am a member, and Nicole's the alternate to the Lincoln County Water Alliance. They've been administered by two volunteers who've done a lot of work, and they are trying to put together a package to fund a part-time administrator that can help with arranging meetings, taking notes, applying for grants. And to that end, they have requested funding from the county, a grant from the county to fund them from March until the end of June. In the interim, they have asked that each of the members come up with $2,000. And so I'd ask the city manager if we could find $2,000 in our budget to provide to them, and we probably can without breaking any rules or anything. We could probably find it in our water budget somewhere. The intent of this Lincoln County Water Alliance is to look at long-term solutions to water issues across the county. So, we're looking at how does the county as a whole connect to each other? What are, first we have to figure out where all the existing interconnects are, where there should be interconnects, who would pay for it, and then look at new sources of water. And the sky's the limit. Anything's that we're really very much in ideation phase. So, could it be desalination? And if it were, where would it be located? How would the pipes run to get water to everywhere? So it's really looking at very big picture, long range kinds of things. But it requires a part-time coordinator. And that's what the request for $2,000 would be for our contribution to that. So from the 12 potential members of that coalition.
Right.
Okay. If there's no objections from the city council, we can find that money somewhere without hurting any existing projects. We will move forward.
Love a bake sale
Yeah, a rain sale.
or meatball sale. Your meatballs are great.
Yeah. You wish you want to get paid.
Oh, good point.
All right, that brings us to our other item under ongoing business, which was the water tank location update.
Are you there still?
There he is.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
So, hi. So, you got my report, so I'll just
Yep.
kind of go through it real quick. Couple weeks ago, we had the geotechs come out and do a walkabout at the water plant reservoir site. And they went from the bottom up to check for possible landslides, water runoff and such. And then they made it up to the top where the site's at. And before they came, they were worried that it was going to be a previous landslide that kind of made a little flat spot up there. But after investigating, they're pretty sure it's a natural formation. So that's really good news. And on their way back from the top, they went down, headed toward our property we bought next door to the water plant. And there is an old logging road that leads right to our proposed reservoir site, and it comes out at the bench on our new property. So we don't really need to build a road. We just need to clean it up. And they were talking as they were walking down the road. You know how on some logging roads, one side is kind of scraped off and the other side's a downhill situation. And some of the bigger scrape offs showed basalt in the, so there's thinking there's a lot of rock up there, which is great. And which doesn't run into the same problem as we had with the other site because it's flat. So there'll be very little excavation of rock is what they were thinking. And so the report will come out. It said before Christmas, but I think an engineer talk that's after New Year's.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It's next week.
The end of the quarter, which means the 29th day of the.
Yeah. So once I have that in hand, the engineer that I work with can coordinate drill spots. And once I get the drill spots, I'll hire the surveyor to go up and mark those spots. So The excavator that we hire can go up and prepare the exact locations. And we're already kind of on the geotech drilling schedule because they know we're going to do it, but we got to go through the process, get the report, and have our engineer get involved with the geotech. So we're right on schedule to start as early as possible in the spring to do the geotech drilling. And like I said on the bottom here, I'm kind of excited about this one. Of course, I got excited about the last one too. It's in my, I got hope.
There you go.
All right. So it says, since the road does not need surveying, it narrows the scope. So, you can just follow the contour of the existing road and that's clear enough for.
Yeah, you know, since I wrote this, once we get going, that road will probably be surveyed because I'm sure we'll be running a pipe down it. And so that will need surveying.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend a lot of money until we drill.
Okay.
And
okay. So once we put the tank up there, we'll just run it right down to where we currently have water coming out.
Yep. Nice, easy shot.
Yeah. And I will say I walked by the plant yesterday and there was a lot of water coming out, untreated water flowing
That
out.
was
from the
you.
plant.
I drove by and you had like dark green rain jacket on or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that was me. I was snooping around.
Just trying to match the majors and knowing and see if we.
It always impresses me, we talk so much about water shortage and you go up there now and the water's just pouring out.
Yeah, I used to say we don't have a water problem, we have a storage issue.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a report and
Okay.
it's all good news so far.
Yeah, that's really good. I appreciate that. And, we still have hope for middle income housing, not giving up on that goal. But if we can get a water tank for less money than we were looking at that other site, that would be a real win. So.
Yeah, and just touching base on, I don't know if Bobby told you already, but she wrote the owner of the 2 parcels of property in our watershed. They wanted to sell it. She sent it as a registered letter, so we know they got it. But as of now, I don't think we've heard anything back. And once we find out if they want to sell it, if they do, there's money to be grants to be had that would start with a if we were to get it, a $70,000 grant to plan the purchase and do the best thing for the environment that we can. And also mentioned it in one of the last meetings that not all that property is in the watershed. So, there's probably 50, 60 acres that would be open to possible housing. But that, we'd have to, change our urban growth boundary to get water.
Get a road up in there.
Yeah. Anyway.
The grant funding that is available is specific through DEQ and it's source water protection grant funding. We have not heard back yet.
Yeah, and we may not ever. Many of the coastal communities have been buying property in their watershed. Most of it is, I think, 1,000 acres here, 1,000 acres there, significantly bigger than what we're looking at.
Yeah, the assessed value on Lincoln County's website for both those pieces of property together is a little over 700,000.
Okay, for the whole properties?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, they're going to want more.
Yeah.
But okay, well, we'll let the city manager negotiate that. whether they ever respond or not, we'll see. Okay, well, that's very good news, and keep up the great work. We're excited to see that move forward, and I'm excited to see the payoff of owning that lot next to the plant. Had that been bought by somebody else, we would be hurting to
So
get the road in.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's it. Any other business? I think I mentioned my business already, but from city council. Catherine? You're muted.
I may be incorrect, maybe I missed something, but did we actually approve the consent agenda? Because I think we moved on to something else.
No, we did.
We did with your changes that would be coming.
Okay, sorry. I thought we jumped to something else and skipped that.
No, we did, we had a motion and approved it.
Okay.
By voice vote, if I remember correctly.
Okay, can I ask one other thing as a Zoom participant this time?
Yes.
If at all possible, could we buy more speakers? It was difficult to hear Barry and Nicole, and it was very difficult to hear the people coming from the audience sitting at the front table.
Go on top.
You don't speak, but you want microphone.
Yes. So we have two on order, one to go right between Barry and Nicole, and one to go at the speaker, at the audience table. So we're ahead of you.
One thing on the agenda.
Oh, that's it. Sorry, the business resolution 2025-270.
I added at the last meeting.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, I remember, I saw that. I must have the wrong one pulled up here. Nope, I got it. Okay, I don't, this is fairly straightforward. We're reappointing existing members to for the Library Commission, Parks and Commons Commission. These are people that, in the Planning Commission. These are people that are currently serving, and I appreciate that they are willing to renew their participation. So we have, I won't read the whole resolution, but City of Yachats resolves the following appointments are made for the Planning Commission. We have Jolene Goslin, seat E, until 2029. Steve Chase, who we just appointed, whose seat expires the end of the year. So he will serve till 12/31/2029. For Parks and Commons Commission, nay, Parks and Commons Commission. Adam Altson, CD for seat expiring 2028, and David Ravinis, his term expiring 12/2028, which is very good news because he has been kind of wavering on his support. But I think once he has seen the beautiful library, he's willing to step up. And as we move to committee, I think he'll be happier on that. Do committees have a committee chair? Is that going to be required? So that is the resolution. So can I get a motion to approve resolution 2025-270? Oh,
Question, just
sorry.
clarification. Will, so these are actual seats on a commission as currently in effect. When the commissions are swapped into committees, as we all expect, and great idea. And the committee's going to have, committee members going to have terms like this? Okay, so you'd probably at that time we'd say people who are on a commission will be converted to having a term in a committee. Okay.
Yeah, and we roll over the same type of terms and everything. Yeah.
Good point. Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion? Okay.
One opening in Public Works and Streets, Bob Bennett decided not to continue.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we're gonna be losing him.
We should do something special for him. How long has he been a commissioner?
Long before I started working here. Yeah.
We
We've
should,
seen a lot of really good projects through.
yeah, maybe we can get a,
Available to, you know, help out whenever
Yeah.
you can.
okay, so maybe we can do something to thank him for his many, many years of service. And he, for a long time, he was also on the emergency preparedness. Oh, yeah, I mean, very deep thanks to him for his many years of service. Okay, can I get a motion to approve resolution 2025-27?
So moved.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And thank you to the commission members for stepping up.
Thank you.
And with that, anything else from the staff? Okay, with that, I am going to adjourn the City of Yahat City Council meeting of 12/17/2025. Meeting adjourned. You hear that?
Done before 4.